What's going on, everyone? It is the Draft Nerd here, and what a day it has been for the Charlotte Hornets. If you missed it or whatever the case may be, if you don't know any of the news, I'll go ahead and break it down for you and kind of tell you my thoughts and my reactions to everything that just happened tonight. I mean, there's a lot of things that we did tonight that could reflect later, and by later I mean just like throughout the off season. And so we're going to be looking back at tonight and be like, remember when, and there's so on and so forth. There are things that I don't agree with, there are things that I kind of agree with, so I'm going to talk about it all. So let's go ahead and get into it. But thank y'all so much for watching the videos that I have been putting out. It's been a long day putting out a lot of videos. So go ahead and like, because that's the best way you can help the channel, and subscribe if you are new. I talk about Hornets content, I guess, because that's what that people like to see. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about it. So with the 13th pick, the Hornets selected Jalen Duren, and then they ended up trading him to the Knicks. And then basically from after being traded to the Knicks, what we got back was a Denver 2023 first round pick in basically 4 seconds, and they traded Jalen Duren to the Pistons. So a lot of people were upset because the Knicks got 3 first round picks for the 12th pick, the pick right before ours. So that is a hefty price to pay. But one thing that I will like to mention to people is that not many people had 3 first round picks to give up like the Thunder do. So if you weren't working with the Thunder, or if you weren't working with maybe the Rockets, off the top of my head, teams I can think of who have picks to spare, if you weren't working with any of them, you weren't going to get 3 first round picks. Now granted, for the 13th pick, I would have liked more than just that first, like a next year's first and then 4 seconds, but hey, it is what it is. But for that trade, I said it in my video that I released like earlier, but with that trade, I really see it as basically just getting a bunch of draft picks to offload Gordon Hayward, and that can happen any time between now and the first. And the reason I say the first, well, I think technically free agency starts on June 30th, but I think that a trade has to be made before then, because everybody wants to be kind of in their cap situations before going into free agency. So I think that's what's going to be done here. I think that they're going to take all the capital they got from trading the 13th pick and use that to offload Gordon Hayward, and I think they maybe be trying to get something else in return. I'm not saying they're going to try to get a superstar or anything like that, but I think they're going to take a mixture of that next year first, and then a couple of second rounds and Gordon Hayward to get maybe another good veteran wing, a better wing hopefully, one that can stay healthy. But I'm hoping that's what they're going to do, but I could be giving them way too much credit. So that's what I think is going to happen with that. So now we can move on to the 15th pick. So at the 15th pick, we selected Mark Williams. And basically my thing with Mark Williams is that I think he is the perfect fit for LaMelo. I think that Jalen Duren was more defensive, at least to me. I like Mark Williams. I like his touch underneath the basket. He's a very efficient scorer. He shows that he can kind of pop a little bit, from the mid-range, and I think he can develop a real shot. He's a great shot blocker, and he's very athletic. Jalen Duren to me is a little more athletic, but I'm not mad at all. Jalen Duren likes to get a little more physical than Mark Williams, but Mark Williams is what? He's like he might be 7 feet 240, and he still looks like he can build into his frame. So I think he's going to be very dangerous once he starts getting his NBA body ready, working, basically running down the court with LaMelo and Miles Bridges. I think Mark Williams was always the pick, even though they picked Jalen Duren at 13. When they picked Jalen Duren at 13, I knew something was up. I just didn't know it would be that. But I really like the pick of Mark Williams at 15. And with the second round pick, we traded 2 future firsts to get Bryce McGowens, and he played for Nebraska. That team was terrible, therefore his stats are kind of terrible. You always got to look out for players who are on bad teams, because then they just play bad. Like, for example, you can look at Cole Anthony. That UNC team was terrible, and Cole Anthony to a lot of people looked terrible, but it was because that team was so bad. There wasn't a lot of spacing, and it was just rough for him. I personally have not watched Nebraska games. I will go watch some. I will do like player analysis for each of these players and just how I see them fitting for the Hornets. But right now, this is just like an initial reaction. What I know about Bryce McGowens, just by reading up on him before the draft a little bit, but I definitely reading up more since we drafted him, is that he's very comfortable with the ball in his hands. He is a scorer. He's not an efficient scorer, but he can score. So the fact that he can already put points on the board, even though he's not the most efficient, once he gets everything kind of where it needs to be, I can see him being an efficient scorer. He shows that he definitely has the ability to score. He's not really a playmaker. He's more of just a wing that likes to score. That's kind of all he does. But he does have the body to play defense. He can turn it up like everybody else on the roster. So take that as you will, because we do know that, like, I think it was either after All-Star break or after the New Year, the Hornets actually had a decent defense. It didn't last, but for a while they had a decent defense because everybody decided to lock in. He fits that mold. Now, I personally don't like that part, but from what I've seen, by the way he played, I think he's just the product of being on a bad team. I'm not saying that like you put him on the Hornets and then all of a sudden he's going to be, play like he should have been top 10, but I do think he will play better, even though Mitch Kupchak kind of referred to him almost as a two-way player. And I'm going to start putting like the tweets and stuff in the videos, not this video, but in future videos, just so y'all can kind of see what I'm talking about. But yeah, I think Mitch Kupchak kind of referred to him as a two-way player. And he did say something, like going back to Mark Williams, he did say something about how Mark Williams would be fighting minutes, fighting for minutes with Mason Plumlee. But I mean, I think he just has to say that. I'm not putting too much into that, but I did think it was funny. Mitch Kupchak sometimes, he worries me a little bit, but I'm really excited for the season. Like I said, I'm going to do in-depth. This is just initial reactions. I wish that trade was a little better, but I can't complain too much because I don't know what that package would look like. Like, for example, with the Knicks, the reason they were able to get 3 first-round picks is because they were working with the Thunder. So, and the Thunder must have really felt real strong about a player. Like, think about it. For Justice Winslow, I believe, the Celtics were going to give us like 4 first-round picks. And they felt that strongly about Justice Winslow. Now, granted, I don't know if it's because how his career has panned out or, there's just a bunch of different factors, but he wouldn't have been worth those those 4 first-round picks. But that's how strongly they felt about it. So when you have the picks, you have the disposable picks, and you really want somebody, or maybe it was for Justice Winslow, but we ended up getting Frank Kaminsky. But anyway, if you feel that strong about somebody and you're a young team, you have so many picks, you can take that risk, and that is what the Thunder are doing, but there's not many teams willing to take that kind of risk. So therefore, the Knicks kind of already wrapped up the Thunder. Like I said, I don't foresee the Houston Rockets being interested in anything like that. And so, yeah, I can't really criticize the trade too much because I'm not really sure what a package will look like, but I would like it to be a little better, to be a little more enticing to get rid of Gordon Hayward, because I know to me, that's exactly what they're doing. I could be wrong, could be overestimating them, could be hoping, too much hope, but I really feel like that's what they're going to do. That trade is part of a bigger trade. Now, I'm not saying they already have like the trade figured out of what the next thing is going to be, but I will say that they are doing that with the intentions of having the ammo for another trade. So we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty sure if they do that, it's going to be before free agency. It could happen after, or it could happen during, but I kind of see it happening before free agency. I don't foresee this, like, if they know they want to get rid of Gordon Hayward, I don't see them holding on to him the whole time, especially with 2 years on his contract. They're going to do something to get him out of there. So, yeah, it was an interesting draft night. I welcome Mark Williams. Welcome to Bryce McGowens. McGowens. I think both of y'all are going to be really good players. I really like to see how both of you will get better as time goes on. I think it's going to be a fun season. I think LaMelo is going to be grateful for Mark Williams. I think the whole team is going to be grateful for Mark Williams. And put Mark Williams with Kai Jones, who has it figured out. Kai Jones coming in at the 4. I'm not saying starting at the 4, but just coming in at the 4 spot or a backup center. That could be dangerous. That could be really fun to see. But yeah, just the team's going to be fun. I think they did a good job of drafting. I think they did a good job of trading up to get McGowens. Even though I personally don't know too much about him, but compared to like Mark Williams and things like that. But I'm just happy they did it because it does show that they kind of want to win a little bit, and that's all I ask. It's just that my team, no matter what sport it is, just puts in the effort and shows that they want to win, or even if they're tanking, like, you know, just give us the roadmap. And I feel like this is kind of a way of them trying to be like, all right, well, we didn't want to add too many rookies because we did that last year, and we just already have a lot of young talent. And so I can understand why you wouldn't want to just add a bunch of rookies. Now, I will say one thing that I'm not going to go too in depth about, but Mitch Kupchak said in his little presser interview thing, he said that they have plenty of cap space to bring in a lot of players. I don't know what that means, but we're going to see. I don't even know where you're going to get the cap space from. I mean, I guess, like I said, they know they're going to get rid of Gordon Hayward, and to my knowledge, you can trade Gordon Hayward, save that money, sign, you know, however many players you can fit into that cap, and then sign Miles Bridges on top of it. So personally, and like I said, I could be wrong. I'm not Bobby Marks. I'm not, you know, some payroll guru. But don't be surprised if when free agency comes, they are signing a bunch of players and the Miles Bridges deal isn't done yet. I think like that's kind of how it works, is that you have to fill up that one spot and then sign the max so it won't count against you. But I think if you sign the max before it affects your cap, I'm not sure. It may not matter either way. I actually find out. I'll find out. But anyway, that does it for this video. Thank y'all so much for watching. I think this is like my 5th upload today. It's like 2 in the morning. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out. I am getting married this weekend. Well, actually tomorrow. So there won't be too much content. And I'll make more content when I come back. So yeah, I've probably record a couple more videos tonight and then maybe have them released throughout the week. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. It's going to be an interesting off season, but it's good to get the draft out the way. The draft is my favorite part. That's why originally I was the draft nerd, but I might have to change it because this Hornet thing is kind of fun. But anyway, that does it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.